guys. Welcome you all to the Insights into Books podcast. Before we start, kindly follow or subscribe us to get updated. Now, let's start today's discussion, guys. Today, we're diving into something really fascinating, a perspective that kind of pushes back against a lot of the usual self-help advice we hear about happiness. It suggests that real strength, maybe even real joy and freedom, they don't come from trying to be positive all the time or, caring about every single little thing.
Right. It's quite counterintuitive, isn't it?
Exactly. It's advocating for this deliberate reevaluation of what actually deserves our emotional energy. It's not about being apathetic, not at all.
No, it's more about making a conscious choice, a really powerful one, actually, about where you invest yourself emotionally.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, what's fascinating here is how relevant it feels right now. We're just bombarded, aren't we?
Oh, constantly.
Information, opinions, demands on our attention, social media, the news. It's nonstop.
You feel like you have to care about everything.
Precisely. And that pressure, it leads to this kind of emotional burnout. You end up spread so thin you can't care deeply about anything.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
So this approach suggests that real resilience, real contentment, it comes from narrowing your focus, not broadening it. It's about being selective, almost strategic, about what gets your energy.
Protecting that internal resource.
Exactly. Protecting the book calls them your fucks, your emotional capital.
Selective caring. That's the core idea then.
Yeah.
Allocating those emotional resources or, your fucks.
It's provocative language, but the point is clear.
We only have so much emotional energy, right? It's finite.
That's the fundamental premise. It's not an endless supply.
So the aim isn't to become, indifferent or detached from the world.
No, not at all. It's about choosing wisely, very wisely, where you invest that limited resource.
It's about being okay with being different, maybe. Not just going along with what everyone else seems to care about.
Yes, comfortable being different rather than being indifferent. That's a key distinction.
Because we do get caught up in trivial stuff.
Oh, absolutely. We sweat the small stuff, as they say.
A comment online, getting cut off in traffic, some minor disagreement.
And it drains us because maybe we haven't really defined what truly warrants our deep concern, so our energy just gets siphoned off.
It makes sense.
And this really ties into maturity, doesn't it? As we get older, most of us naturally start filtering things more.
You start to see what actually lasts.
Exactly. You look back and realize that so many things you cared intensely about what people thought, fleeting trends, minor daily hassles, they just didn't have much long-term impact.
Right. They felt huge at the time. But now, not so much.
So it's not about withdrawing from life. It's an active reorientation. You start thinking, okay, where is my energy best spent?
You conserve it for things that align with your values.
Yes. Instead of scattering it everywhere, it's a realization that sometimes less really is more when it comes to where you invest emotionally.
Moving from being reactive to being proactive about your inner world.
Precisely. Curating it with intention.
There's this image from the book that really sticks with me. This elderly lady in a grocery store.
Ah, yes. The coupon.
Arguing furiously with the cashier over a 30-cent coupon. Just 30 cents.
The intensity is startling, isn't it?
It really is. But when you think about it, it makes you wonder, if someone's pouring that much emotional energy into something so tiny.
It often points to a lack of something more significant, doesn't it? A lack of bigger things to care about.
Yeah, avoid. No really substantial fuck-worthy things demanding that energy, so it spills over onto the small stuff.
It's quite a poignant example, really, of what happens when our lives lack deeper meaning or commitment.
Yeah.
We overinvest in the trivial because there's nothing else grabbing our attention.
And that connects to the bigger picture, right? If you're constantly irritated by minor things.
It's often a sign that there aren't bigger, more meaningful concerns occupying your mind and heart.
It's an active choice then, not just drifting into apathy.
Absolutely. It's about consciously deciding, this matters. This aligns with my purpose. The rest, I can let it go.
Because if you don't cultivate those meaningful pursuits, relationships, work, creativity, causes.
Then you risk pouring all that precious energy into petty stuff that just brings you down.
And that just leads to more dissatisfaction.
It's a cycle. Your energy gets depleted. Your sense of purpose feels weak because you're focused on the wrong things.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, I think. This next idea sort of flips the whole script on happiness.
The idea that happiness isn't the absence of problems.
Exactly. It suggests happiness doesn't just magically appear when everything's perfect. It actually argues the opposite.
That authentic happiness comes from solving problems.
Yes, and more than that, it's about finding and embracing the problems you choose to have, the ones you actually maybe even enjoy grappling with.
It's a radical shift from just waiting for good things or trying to avoid all difficulty.
Right. It's about engagement, finding meaning in the struggle.
Indeed, life just is full of suffering and problems. That's a basic truth you find in so many philosophies, isn't it? Buddhism, Stoicism.
Yeah, the idea that struggle is inherent.
And trying to dodge pain or discomfort, the book argues, just makes things worse in the long run. It amplifies the suffering.
So happiness isn't a state you arrive at.
No, it's presented as an ongoing activity, a process, problem solving.
Like a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And solving one problem often just leads to, well, new problems. Maybe slightly better problems, but still problems.
That sounds like the hedonic treadmill idea.
Precisely. You achieve something, feel good for a bit, then your baseline happiness resets and you're looking for the next challenge. You don't get a permanent boost.
So the key isn't avoiding the pain.
It's choosing which pain you're willing to endure, maybe even the pain you welcome.
Like training for a marathon? That's painful.
Terribly painful. Or starting a business, the uncertainty, the risk, the stress.
Huge amounts of struggle there.
But people embrace that kind of suffering willingly. Not because they enjoy pain itself, but because the process, the growth, the eventual sense of accomplishment, that's where the meaning and satisfaction lie.
That reframes adversity completely. Struggles aren't just obstacles.
They're pathways. Pathways to growth, to strength, to figuring out who you are.
It's through the difficulty, through pushing past discomfort, that we find out what we're capable of.
We build resilience, mental toughness, emotional muscle, you could say.
Without challenges, we wouldn't develop the character or wisdom needed to handle life, would we?
Exactly. It's the friction that molds us. The pain isn't the goal. The growth that comes from dealing with it is.
So this leads to that big existential question. If life doesn't come with a prepackaged meaning,
Which is what many existentialist thinkers suggest.
how do we find purpose?
The answer here is you choose what you're willing to suffer for.
That sounds heavy.
Choose.
Suffering.
It can feel daunting, absolutely, because it means facing up to the vastness of choice, the weight of responsibility.
But that commitment.
That commitment is precisely how life gets filled with meaning. You identify problems that are so compelling, so aligned with who you are, that the struggle becomes part of your identity, part of your satisfaction.
But you're actively defining what makes your life worthwhile.
Yes. Transforming what might feel arbitrary into something rich with self-chosen significance. It's incredibly empowering, actually.
Okay, so if we're choosing our struggles, our values must play a huge role in that, right? They're like the compass.
Absolutely crucial. Our values are the bedrock. They guide our choices, shape how we see the world, how we react to problems.
They dictate what's important enough for our emotional energy.
Without understanding your values clearly, you're basically navigating without a map. You get swayed by trends, by other people's opinions, by trivial distractions.
Pulled away from what really matters to you.
Exactly. And the book makes a really useful distinction between good and bad values.
Okay, what defines a good value in this context?
Good values are described as being reality-based, grounded in how things actually are. They're socially constructive, they tend to benefit others as well as yourself, they're immediate, you can act on them now, and crucially, they're controllable.
So things you can cultivate internally.
Precisely, like honesty, creativity, vulnerability, self-respect, curiosity, charity, humility.
Things you actively do or are.
Yes. And what's powerful about these is they foster inner strength and contentment, but they also tend to reflect reality, even the uncomfortable parts. And they often have positive ripple effects. They're about genuine growth and contribution.
Okay, so what are bad values then?
Bad values are often the opposite. They might be superstitious based on assumptions or needing external validation, socially destructive, and often not immediate or controllable.
Things that depend on external factors.
Exactly, like chasing superficial pleasures, constant entertainment, fleeting thrills, or making material success your only measure of worth.
Needing to always be right, or always needing to be positive.
Those are key examples. They're bad because they rely on things outside your control, other people's opinions, external outcomes. That inevitably leads to misery because your sense of worth is constantly unstable.
You're always chasing something elusive.
Right. Tethering your peace to things you can't ultimately manage.
This distinction makes more sense when you think about those layers of self-awareness the book talks
Oh,
about.
yes, the 3 layers. Very insightful.
The first is just knowing your emotions, right? I feel
It is
angry.
sick emotional literacy. Layer 1.
Layer 2 is asking why you feel that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it gets interesting because the why reveals your underlying standards, what you consider success or failure, what's actually triggering you.
And the third, deepest layer.
That's understanding your personal values themselves, the fundamental standards by which you judge yourself and others. What defines a good or bad life for you?
Getting to that level requires real effort, doesn't it? Constant questioning.
Absolutely. It's not a one-off realization. It's an ongoing process of digging deep, being honest with yourself about the principles driving your judgments and actions. And what's really telling is how people who can't articulate the why behind their feelings often get stuck.
How so?
Well, think of someone feeling lonely. If they can't explore why, they might just blame everyone else.
Instead of looking at their own values or behaviors that might contribute.
Exactly. Or infidelity in a relationship. Often it stems from valuing immediate gratification or external validation more than the commitment itself.
And if you don't confront those underlying values,
You can't solve the root problem. You stay trapped in destructive patterns. If we connect this to the bigger picture, unclear or reality-denying values mean you're constantly giving your energy to things that actually harm your well-being
it's self-sabotage, basically.
until you do that deep dive into your core beliefs.
Okay, so we understand why values are critical. But how do you actually figure out what yours are, practically speaking? So what does this all mean for the listener's daily choices?
Well, there are some great exercises suggested. One is the desert island test.
Ah, right. If you were stranded, what 3 things or people would you absolutely need?
Exactly. It forces you to cut through the superficial and identify what's non-negotiable, what holds ultimate importance.
That's powerful. What else?
There's the idea of an attention diet, or the fuck yes or no rule for what you consume.
So being really intentional about information intake.
Very intentional. Actively cutting out the junk, the endless scrolling, the outrage-inducing news that offers no solutions, the petty grievances.
Clearing out the noise?
And just as importantly, intentionally seeking out diverse perspectives, even opposing viewpoints.
to avoid getting stuck in an echo chamber.
Precisely. To avoid what the author calls intellectual cold dishes, bland inputs that don't challenge you or help you grow. It's an active curation of your mental and emotional world.
This next point feels really relevant today, the idea about being average.
Ah, the tyranny of exceptionalism.
Yeah. We're just flooded with images of the extraordinary, aren't we? Social media, movies, news. It's always the outliers, the superstars.
The highlight reels.
And it can make most of us feel, well, just average. And somehow average has become this dirty word, like it means failure.
There's immense pressure to be special, unique, brilliant. Otherwise, you feel like you're falling short.
So what's the counter-argument here?
What's fascinating here is the idea that accepting your averageness isn't giving up. It's actually liberating.
Liberating. How so?
Because it frees you from the burden of entitlement.
Entitlement, like feeling you deserve special treatment.
Exactly. Either because you think you're uniquely amazing and shouldn't have to struggle, or because you think you're uniquely terrible and therefore deserve pity, or are exempt from responsibility. Both are damaging.
Okay, I see. So true self-worth doesn't come from pretending you're exceptional.
No, the book suggests it comes from acknowledging your flaws, your average starting points. Yeah, I'm not great at this yet, or I can be lazy sometimes, and then working humbly to improve.
So accepting where you are allows you to actually start moving forward.
Precisely. People who accept they're starting from average are more likely to put in the actual work needed to get better, rather than waiting for some unearned reward or complaining about their unique struggles.
Yeah.
They embrace the process.
They focus on the journey from average upwards.
Yes. Understanding that mastery is built step by step, usually from a pretty average beginning.
Okay, now on to a concept that sounds intense. Radical responsibility. Here's where it gets really interesting.
It is intense, but incredibly empowering.
So it's not about blaming yourself for everything bad that happens.
Not at all. It's about accepting full responsibility for everything in your life, especially your reactions to events, no matter who was initially at fault.
Owning your response, basically.
Yes. It shifts you from potentially feeling like a victim of circumstances to being an active agent. You might not have caused it, but you own how you deal with it.
Your internal experience and your actions are yours.
Always. And this is where the distinction between fault and responsibility is critical.
Right. Fault is about the past, who caused it.
Exactly. It's backward looking. Blame assignment.
Responsibility is about the present. How you respond now.
Precisely. Present tense. Moving forward. Think about the example of finding a baby on your doorstep.
Okay. Clearly not your fault.
Absolutely not your fault, but it instantly becomes your responsibility to decide what to do, how to care for it.
Or, like, if a partner cheats, their action is their fault.
Unequivocally their fault. But managing your emotions, deciding whether to leave, seek counseling, rebuild trust, that's your responsibility, your path forward.
The book mentions William James, the psychologist.
Yes, a powerful example. After intense depression, she made a commitment for 1 year to take full responsibility for his life, his thoughts, his reactions.
Regardless of circumstances or predisposition.
Yes, and he described it as a rebirth. It transformed him. He chose agency over his present.
That poker analogy really nails it too. You're dealt a hand in, your circumstances, genetics, upbringing.
Cards you didn't choose. Not your fault.
But your responsibility is to play that hand the best you can.
Exactly. Which connects to so many everyday situations, like the employee who feels they deserve a raise but never asks.
Right. They blame the boss,
Nah.
the company, focusing on the fault of not being recognized.
Instead of taking responsibility for their inaction, for not making the case, not asking.
It's a subtle shift, but it unlocks your power to change things.
Absolutely. Taking responsibility is the ultimate empowerment. It shifts you from being passive to active.
From passenger to driver.
Beautifully put. When you own your perceptions, reactions, and values, you regain control. You can actually solve problems instead of feeling trapped.
It's foundational for growth.
Totally. You accept that others might be at fault, but you are always responsible for your own happiness and your next move.
Let's shift gears slightly. Another kind of challenging idea. The notion that certainty is actually the enemy of growth.
Yes, that really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
It does, because we usually crave certainty. We want solid ground.
We do. Certainty feels safe. It protects our ego, shields us from the discomfort of being wrong, the messiness of ambiguity.
So why is it seen as detrimental here?
Well, our brains are wired for efficiency, often more than accuracy. We take mental shortcuts, develop biases. Memory itself is incredibly fallible.
Like that false memory syndrome example, people genuinely remembering things that didn't happen.
Exactly. It shows how easily our minds can construct or distort reality to fit a narrative. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, clinging rigidly to certainty, I know I'm right, actually stops us from learning.
It blocks genuine self-discovery.
And adaptation. If you're unwilling to entertain the possibility you're wrong, you can't see new perspectives, learn from mistakes, or adjust to a changing world. Growth requires questioning, revising, being wrong sometimes.
So how do we cultivate that beneficial uncertainty?
This raises an important question. The book suggests asking yourself some direct questions, like simply, what if I'm wrong?
Just starting there.
It opens the door. Then dig deeper. What would it actually mean if I were wrong? Consider the real implications.
Of both good and bad.
Yes. And finally, a practical and ethical angle. Would being wrong create a better or worse problem than my current one, for me and for others?
It's not about constant self-doubt then.
No, it's about intellectual humility, flexibility, being willing to engage with reality dynamically.
And this ties into the view of failure, doesn't it? It's not something to just avoid.
Not at all. Failure is presented as a crucial, productive part of learning and improving.
Success is built on failures.
Almost always. Think about anyone who's truly mastered something. They've likely failed and learned from it far more times than a novice has even tried.
But we're often so scared of failing.
Yeah.
School, society.
Exactly. There's often too much focus on perfect outcomes, which instills this fear. But to really excel, to innovate, you have to be willing to fail repeatedly.
So the focus should be on the process, not just the result.
Yes. Embrace the process. See failure as feedback, as data. A stepping stone, not a dead end.
That reframes it completely, makes it less terrifying, more like research and development.
Precisely. It turns failure from something punitive into something productive.
Okay, let's unpack this next one, the do something principle. Simple, but seems really effective.
It's incredibly practical. The core idea is that action often comes before motivation.
Which is the opposite of how we usually think, right? We wait to feel inspired, then act.
We do. I'll start when I feel motivated. But this flips the script. Motivation can be the result of acting, even in a tiny way.
How does that work? Like a cycle?
Exactly. It's described as a motivation loop. You take a small step, open the file, put on your shoes, write one sentence.
Just get started.
And that action creates an emotional response, maybe a tiny bit of inspiration, a sense of accomplishment, just the momentum of having begun.
And that feeling fuels more action.
Yes. It feeds back into the loop. It reminds me of that old math teacher's advice. If you're stuck, just rewrite the problem or simply do something, anything.
Break the inertia.
Yes. Overcome that initial resistance, that activation energy. Often, just starting reveals the next step. Movement generates momentum.
And the beauty of it is that even the smallest action makes the bigger goal feel less daunting.
Absolutely. Starting dismantles that huge psychological barrier.
And if you change your measure of success to simply, did I do something?
Then the fear of failure shrinks dramatically. Because any action counts as progress, any engagement as a win. There's no total failure, just continuous movement.
It's a brilliant way to beat procrastination and build momentum.
Keep yourself moving forward one small something at a time.
Let's talk about boundaries now and the power of saying no. This feels crucial for relationships, but also just for managing our energy.
Absolutely vital. It connects directly back to choosing what you value and protecting those finite emotional resources.
Healthy relationships, the book argues, need two things.
Yes. First, each person taking responsibility for their own problems and feelings.
Downing their stuff.
And second, a mutual willingness to both say no and hear no without it causing a meltdown.
It's not about being difficult or rejecting people wholesale.
Not at all. It's about establishing clear, respectful boundaries. And those boundaries, counterintuitively perhaps, actually build trust and respect.
How does that litmus test work again? Ask yourself.
If I refuse this request, how would the relationship change?
And if saying no leads to drama or manipulation.
It might indicate the relationship is conditional, based on you meeting certain expectations, rather than unconditional care and respect for autonomy.
That personal story the author shares about talking to Tim Ferriss is interesting too. The need for strict boundaries, almost like parenting.
Yes, the idea that if you let a boundary slip even once, it undermines the whole structure. Consistency is key.
In his experience with stopping drinking, realizing some activities were just excuses.
A powerful realization. Removing the alcohol revealed that the enjoyment he thought he got from certain things was actually tied to the drinking itself. It exposed a misaligned value.
It shows how saying no to one thing can clarify what you truly value in its absence.
Definitely. It cuts through the confusion.
Which brings us to this idea of commitment and its hidden freedom. That sounds paradoxical.
It does, doesn't it? Commitment sounds restrictive.
Yeah, like closing doors.
But the argument is that in a world drowning in options, the paradox of choice, where too many choices lead to anxiety and less satisfaction, committing deeply to a few things is actually liberating.
How so?
Because choosing to go deep on a select few fuck-worthy things, a relationship, a craft, a cause, frees you from the pressure and distraction of all the other things you could be doing.
You stop scattering your energy.
Exactly. That narrow focus brings meaning, depth, and a kind of inner mental freedom. You're not constantly wondering what if about a million other options.
You invest fully where you've chosen to invest.
Yes. And that depth of commitment is where profound satisfaction often lies.
What's fascinating here is the final, maybe ultimate perspective shifter. Thinking about death.
Memento mori. Remember you must die.
Not morbidly, but as a tool for clarity.
Exactly. It provides the ultimate perspective. It cuts through the trivial like nothing else and forces you to ask what truly matters. It helps shed those superficial values.
Because without that finite end,
everything might feel inconsequential. Limitless time can paradoxically strip things of their urgency and meaning. Ancient Stoics, Buddhist traditions, they all encourage contemplating mortality.
Not to cause fear, but to increase appreciation for life now.
And to foster humility, to help prepare for the inevitable and live more virtuously in the present.
The author's own experience after his friend died young.
Yes, at 19. A deeply traumatic event that, paradoxically, he says, led to a profound realization. Fundamentally, there was nothing to be afraid of. Death became a catalyst for reevaluating everything.
That's a powerful exercise for anyone, isn't it? Imagine you have a year left, or a day.
What immediately changes? What regrets surface? What becomes instantly important and what falls away is trivial?
It cuts right to the core. Forces honesty about how you're living versus how you want to live.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it links to our values, our immortality projects, how we try to leave a mark, the impact we want to have.
When our values are shallow or fail us.
The fear of death, of meaninglessness comes rushing back. True peace, the book suggests, comes from choosing values that extend beyond just serving yourself.
Contributing to something larger.
Yes. Being part of something bigger than your own ego. That focus on legacy, on contribution, diminishes the self-absorption that often fuels anxiety about mortality. This connects to his later work, too, exploring why we feel so pessimistic even when objectively the world is improving in many ways.
Now we have to talk about the style of this book. It's distinctive, blunt, counterintuitive.
Unapologetically so. Irreverent, vulgar at times, humorous.
The title alone. And the cover. It's certainly been a factor in its popularity, maybe a double-edged sword.
Definitely makes an impression. Impossible to ignore, which seems intentional.
The author said he wanted it to be like a middle finger to standard self-help.
That was his stated intent, yes. To bring a skeptical, Zen-influenced, grounded perspective. To challenge the often overly positive, feel-good advice.
Shake things up. Confront uncomfortable truths.
Exactly. Not offer easy answers or just affirmations.
Okay, so let's dive into the criticisms because there have been quite a few, and it's important we cover them impartially. One common point is repetitiveness.
Yes, some readers felt the core message was stretched thin, that it could have been a powerful essay or blog post.
And a lack of concrete how-to steps.
That's another frequent one. Critics found the lessons maybe a bit vague, sort of no-shit Sherlock insights without clear, actionable guidance.
Oversimplification was mentioned, too. Maybe neglecting complex psychology or societal factors.
Some felt it presented a simplified view, potentially downplaying systemic issues that impact individuals.
And the tone. That definitely rubbed some people the wrong way.
It did. Descriptions like bro philosophy, frat boy Buddhism, smug, edgy, insufferable man-child, those terms came up in critiques.
The delivery felt alienating to some readers.
Yes. And, significantly, there were concerns raised about misogyny.
Right. We need to mention these specific points, again, just reporting the criticisms impartially, not endorsing them. The Jennifer Aniston line, for example.
Yes. The line about never feeling her breasts was cited as objectifying. Others felt women were sometimes stereotyped or served as background for male narratives.
Reducing them rather than portraying fully developed characters.
That was the nature of some critiques. And based on all this, the tone, the language, the examples, some concluded the primary audience was maybe younger men or people very new to self-help.
Okay. So a definite range of negative reactions.
But it's equally important to cover the other side, the significant praise and positive impact.
Absolutely. Many people found it genuinely helpful, right? Transformative even.
Huge numbers did, particularly people dealing with anxiety or feeling isolated. They found the directness refreshing, a needed break from forced positivity.
The honesty and humor really resonated with them.
Yes, as authentic and a welcome change. For some, it was also a gateway.
How so?
It inspired them to read deeper philosophy, like Stoicism. It sparked an interest.
And some leaders found value in it. For empathy.
Surprisingly, yes. Some felt it gave them a more realistic grasp of human struggles, helping them connect better with their teams.
So a really mixed bag of reactions. It really highlights how a book lands differently depending on the reader, where they are in life, what they need.
Absolutely. The impact is subjective.
Our goal here is just to explore the ideas, understand the perspectives, regardless of how they're presented.
Yeah.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for your life? For you listening right now? I think the core benefit here is this ongoing invitation to constantly reevaluate what truly matters to you. Your values, your priorities.
Reclaiming that agency.
Yeah. Making conscious choices about where you invest that precious emotional energy instead of letting it get drained by default.
It's a continuous journey, not a final destination. A journey of self-awareness and deliberate living, refining that inner compass. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really hammers home that powerful idea. It's never too late to change. We often internalize this belief that significant change is only for the young, that our capabilities get locked in.
Yeah, that feeling of it's too late for me to learn X or become Y.
Exactly. But think about this incredible story, a grandmother who started learning piano at 62. 62, never played before.
Wow. That's starting late for a complex skill.
Extremely late by conventional standards. But she practiced diligently every day for 30 years. 30 years.
What happened?
By her early 90s, she was playing complex Bach and Rachmaninoff, People who met her then just assumed she'd been a professional musician her whole life. They couldn't believe she started at 62.
That's amazing.
It beautifully shows the compounding power of consistent effort over time, not just for piano, but for anything: health, wealth, knowledge, confidence, relationships. It demolishes the idea that profound growth or achieving dreams has an age limit. It's possible at any age if you choose to invest your energy, your fucks, in what truly matters to you.
This was it on today's book, guys. And guys, kindly subscribe and follow us for more such insights on various books. And also, do not forget to join our social media community to stay in touch and get updates.